Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Monkey Man! Oh wait, wrong character and franchise. It's just Monkey.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we're discussing the finer points of filmmaking. And guys, we just got out of one of the most anticipated films of the year, one of the biggest blockbusters to hit the screens in all of 2017.
Cars
The
3.
Beguiled. Or the fabulous Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler bomb. What is it? The House. The House. We just got out of seeing The House. So what do you guys think of The House?
I mean, maybe I don't like The Neighborhood.
Well, suffice it to say, it was a gamble, Tiki. I think that's a pretty safe statement.
All right,
The price was too good to be true.
We're talking about Spider-Man: Homecoming, of course. We're talking about Spider-Man: Homecoming. Oh man. So this will be a quick, non-spoiler first reaction. First of all, good to have you back, Monkey. I think this is the first time we've had you on since the Tower of Terror. Talking about Tower of Terror Guardians, yeah. So, yay! How you been doing?
Been doing okay. Finally got the 6th variation of that ride.
Yes. Monkey finally got all 6 variations of the Guardians Tower today. Congratulations on that milestone, Monkey.
Thanks. So I've been up since like 5:25 or so in the morning.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we'll try and make this as quick as we can. Feel free to bow out if you need to. All right, guys. So we will do a quick roundtable, just kind of our usual, expectations going in, thoughts coming out. And then we will just do a quick kind of freeform discussion about the movie, making it spoiler-free. And later on in the week, in a couple days from now, we will be doing a full-blown spoiler cast with you guys. So with that in mind, I guess I'll go first with my thoughts on the film. Expectations. I gotta say, guys, this was like... I'm getting pretty damn sick of these, hyping myself up on these critic reviews, because it's like, this is another one where I was really pumped. It's funny, I kind of like ebbed and flowed with this movie. I was looking forward to it from the outset, then the second trailer hit, and I was like, well, I think that kind of gave a little too much away. Props to you, Monkey, for avoiding said trailers, because you did yourself a service, sir, believe me.
Okay, good to know.
And then the reviews hit, and I got stoked again, because people were legitimately calling it like as good or better than Spider-Man 2. And I didn't walk into this movie with the expectation that I'd like it as much as Spider-Man 2. But I did walk into it with the expectation that it would maybe hit the same magic that the Raimi films hit. And after walking out of it, I gotta say, I enjoyed this movie a lot. It was very fun. It was about a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for me. It did not capture that same sort of nostalgic, magic that especially Spider-Man 1 and 2 caught. Certainly better than Spider-Man 3, certainly better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies. It's about in the middle of the pack when it comes to MCU movies for me. I definitely, in terms of comic book movies this year, I think Logan and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 are both far better. So I gotta say, guys, I need to see this one again, and I did like it. I did enjoy it quite a bit, but it didn't quite meet my expectations. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll say until the freeform discussion. So, Monkey, you want to go?
Okay, expectations. I kind of didn't decide until, I don't know, somewhere in the past few weeks to actually see this one. Because I'm, for whatever reason, I'm not the most involved with the MCU. The only other MCU movies I've seen are both Guardians films and Ant-Man. And
both good choices.
Yeah. and also kind of lately it's sort of been like except for the Guardians movies, then it seems like all of these are pretty, all of these are pretty attached into each other's mythologies. Mm-hmm. And whereas Guardians is kind of separate, though it seems that's going to be changing up with Infinity Wars, but I digress. So, I don't know, maybe some other, whatever factors came in, made me decide to go ahead and see this one. Like, maybe it'll be fun. It'll be a nice time. And like, Spider-Man is probably the most experienced I am in terms of superheroes. Like, say, I mean, it's not much like, say, just the first two Raimi movies, the musical and the ride.
The musical, of course.
Yeah, and the reason I watched the first two Raimi movies in the first place was because because of the musical.
Oh God.
And it was funny with the ride. This isn't too spoilery, but the anti-gravity cannon is in this. I found that amusing.
Right.
So I figured I'd check this out. Coming out. Not bad. It was a bit of a rough start for me, and I'm thinking it's because I'm not as well versed in the MCU. So, with the opening scene this movie has, I was a bit lost. Like, okay, so what exactly is this referring to and stuff? And it was, for me, it was a rough start. But as the movie got on, it got a bit stronger. Like, it had some nice humor. It had some nice action. So. Yeah, like, I guess if, like, out of the 4 MCU films I've seen, I would put it in number 4, but hey, it's still not a bad product.
Okay.
It's still a nice one. Fun. It's nice enough, yeah.
Dragon?
All right, so going just in terms of the expectation, the hype, kind of beforehand, I enjoyed and reveled in the Civil War tease we got at Spider-Man. A lot of fun there. Of course, everyone loves the airport scene from Civil War, which of course prominently featured Spider-Man. I remember when that trailer dropped.
It's not like they could have just left it as a surprise for when you saw the damn movie.
Yeah, Monkey, I remember you had a lot of problems with that.
I wasn't even going to see the damn thing!
Anyways.
Right. And, well, the point is just, of course, that reveal, like, the first glimpse we got of Spider-Man was great. And you're right, though. Again, had we just seen it for the first time in the movie, it would have been even better. But the point is just it was still, like, that takes me back to that moment. And the thing just going into this movie I was really looking forward to, I just, love the, I could see the opportunities and the infinite the infinite opportunities and story potential of a Spider-Man in the MCU we've all been waiting for to this point, which we finally got with the Sony deal that has been struck. And basically, it's like we have like the best toy. Basically, Spider-Man is now in the best toy box for superheroes ever. The MCU, which is basically we have all these nods to other Marvel films. You have them interact. Again, we're making the Marvel that we grew up with. In the comics. Basically there could be crossover, there could be references, there could be all sorts of fun little nods here and there. And of course, you could. The great thing with the movies that we've been building here is that we can build off some things laid in other movies, and basically you have like a logical progression, like some really interesting ideas. Like, well, if this exists here, maybe this is a takeoff of another idea. So, what if it's a takeoff of this thing we set up in another movie? But we're introducing it here. But if anyone really wanted to kind of see what the point of Genesis was, well, there it was, another movie.
Right.
Of course, so going into it, Keaton as the Vulture and the damage control stuff I thought was very interesting. It was really interesting.
So I guess this is our preliminary Birdman podcast.
Oh God, yeah. Sure.
God, I need to get on that.
Yeah, you do, my friend. You really do.
Yeah, I was looking forward to the Keaton as the Vulture, as we all were, and just the damage
His
control.
cinematic career has just come full circle. It's beautiful. It brings a tear to my eye. Go ahead, Dragon. I'm sorry. And
the damage control stuff, I remember I heard that they were developing this, and apparently, according to this, according to what I was talking to a friend of mine in the movie, damage control is even referenced throughout all the Iron Man movies. Because I know it was at least in one of the Iron Man movies, and I know it was in the Avengers, and of course we see some link up without giving too much away. We see some link up. Damage control has had a presence in the MCU. Whenever you see like a news broadcasting, damage control is on the case. Of course, that's a reference to the Marvel, kind of written by the dearly departed Dwayne McDuffie, who is it's kind of like a fun mundane of the Marvel universe. Anyway, so. On the whole, I had two fears. One is damage control. Looking forward to it. I really hope the series is still in development. This could be kind of a good springboard for that series. If they
it would be, yeah.
There were I had roughly like a few minor fears going into the movie. Of course, the big one being the trailer gave too much away. Like, would there be any surprises? Wish there were still surprises. I had a fear at the last minute because I was watching what the animated new Spider-Man shit's supposed to be a lot like this new kind of younger homecoming Spider-Man, and it made me really it worried me over something that was just completely pointless. But it was just this their take on the Spider-Man based on like this little short they put out. Their Spider-Man is way too science obsessed, and I was like, oh no, we never saw how into science he was because he retrofit old technology. But oh no,
at first I thought you said science, like the Shyamalan movie.
No, science. Yeah, what if he's like far too science obsessed and he's just be like too irritating to a point where like I can't get into him because this would be him carrying his own movie. So I had those last minute fears. And on the whole, just too much Tony Stark, which again, stuff we saw in the trailer. Oh. So I think it was just kind of the general fears, and also is very, very much looking forward to the Cap device and reaction to the film. It's very good. I thought there were so many great surprises, which we're not going to go too into. I was so. There was a bit in the movie where I was so hyped with the surprise, and then I was instantly let down. And I was thinking throughout the film, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold this one thing. It's like, as good as this film might be, I'm going to hold this one because it's like it was a tease to one thing I've been waiting for so many Spider-Man films to see.
It looked like they were about to pull a Batman versus Superman Jimmy Olsen, essentially.
Exactly. Essentially, that's the best description I can find for that. And a little critically is that I understand that not every joke grabbed me, but humor's subjective, so I can't really hold that against the movie. I'm just saying, it's still really enjoyable. Just it's not some of the humor with the high school kind of demographic.
Humor is subjective, but Penis Parker is an objectively awful joke.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, jokes
I'm
like
just
that.
Gonna call it out right now. Oh, Penis Parker! I seriously, I like that kid from Grand Budapest Hotel, but I wanted to punch this Flash Thompson in the face, man.
Well, I guess we can hit upon that, for a bit here. I just didn't want to spoil too much, I guess, but it's not a spoiler. I'm just
no. I think we can talk about the general characters and stuff like that, as long as we don't get into reveals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess just on the whole, I geeked out so much throughout the film, but also just on the Flash Thompson point, I think he was miscast. I really do.
Yeah, because like I said, it's not like I understand what they were going for with Flash Thompson.
Yeah, because you don't in this school, it wouldn't make sense to have a jock like Flash Thompson. I understand it, but it's just I have a comparison. While we know Eddie Brock is going to be the Venom in this Venom movie, if we didn't know who Venom was going to be,
can we just not talk about the Venom movie because it's just a confusing can of worms right now?
I know. I'm not going to get into the Venom movie. I'm just going to get into one thing or two. If let's say we didn't know that fact that it's going to be Eddie Brock. If we didn't know that, and then this film came out, just the idea that a Venom movie is on the horizon,
and it's going to be this kid is Flash Thompson.
Exactly. I never in a million years would believe that this could be the military Venom. That's what I'm getting.
Oh, God.
That's all I want to hit with the Venom.
Okay.
So on the whole, geeked out so much throughout the film. Fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun film. I think that's a good word for it. As Dragon said, I think it's definitely the most lighthearted and the most kid-friendly Spider-Man movie we've ever gotten, and I think that works both in its favor and kind of against it during certain scenes. I will say this much. I can't blame the film for this. I hold Sony fully 100% responsible for this. The second trailer kind of ruined my enjoyment of this film to a certain extent because I pretty much, just based on that second trailer, and Dragon, you and I were kind of going over it. If you guys go back and watch our trailer review of that, we kind of called the whole damn movie to a certain extent. And
my analogy was too much ice cream, was too much good stuff, and we want to save
there were very little surprises for me. There were one or two moments that genuinely surprised me. There were a few moments in there that weren't in the trailers that were really cool, and then there was one plot reveal specifically regarding Michael Keaton that we won't get into right now. But
my jaw was agape at that point.
That was kind of the big hook of the third act that I think really made him a memorable villain. So we won't get into that now, but of course that was the one big thing they left out of the trailers. Thank God. But,
Yeah. God, if that was the end of a trailer, like
I will
like
say
that,
this though.
I could see the Spider-Man. Then like you get, and then like you have a last clip, and it's that reveal. Like, I said,
They tried to, like, news articles tried to spoil the crap out of that though, so you had to really be careful to avoid that. I avoided that, so I'm just saying, like,
man.
that was they were. I mean, now I know based on after seeing it, I know what, like, because I'd never looked into it, like what the heck they were teasing. What I won't say what the articles are, else I'm going to give it away. But what these articles were teasing, and I was like, oh, thank God I didn't look at that because
well, it's funny because let's just say there was another character in the movie who also has a reveal, and that character, like a couple weeks ago, kind of came out that it was going to be the reveal for the Vulture. So yeah, I'm being very vague here, but a lot of misdirect going on.
No.
Let's see. I like the choice of music. I like kind of the 80s vibe. The Giacchino.
Oh yeah, the John Hughesian vibe.
Yeah, the Giacchino score was good in certain respects, but in others, I felt it was
considering
very
the certain
derivative.
reference, I find it funny you use the term John Hughes.
Well, I'm saying that was the outset of the film, and then of course the reference in the film. Yeah, they're very much in May. The high school characters are styled after John Hughes characters, especially from Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Michelle. I'd say Michelle is like straight out of a John Hughes movie.
Like a certain moment in particular was like,
essentially she's styled after Ali Sheedy from Breakfast Club.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say Michelle was a great character. Like I enjoyed her a lot. Let me see. What was I? Yeah, just in terms of the score, I thought the score was very much kind of it felt very, very similar to the Alan Silvestri Avengers theme. Like, way too similar in a lot of ways.
Are you saying that in a negative way?
Yeah, I'm saying that in a negative way because I feel like all Marvel movies are starting to sound the same to a certain extent, and this isn't helping.
I think
especially for Spider-Man. Especially for Spider-Man. I feel like Spider-Man needs to have a theme that's distinct and memorable, and I just didn't get that with this movie.
Well,
should have brought in Bono in the Edge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, they do have the 60s Spider-Man theme kind of like as a refrain, but I don't know, like the Danny Elfman Spider-Man theme is iconic and recognizable like anytime you hear it, and I just didn't get that same,
Well, I think I can describe what you're going on about. Okay. Is that I think it's less Alan Silvestri because I still think the Avengers score is memorable. But my point is, I think for me, I think what I have, what you have with that score is that it's very much like Civil War. Civil War, it's a decent score, but it doesn't stick out as much as something like Captain America: Winter Soldier. To me, that Henry Jackman, the same guy did the score for Winter Soldier and for Civil War. So it's the same guy.
That's what I'm saying.
However,
yeah,
Winter Soldier sticks out a lot more because there are various themes in it and for various scenes. And Civil War has a couple tracks. And in the case of Spider-Man here, Spider-Man I think is very much like Civil War in that Spider-Man has a theme, and on the whole, just kind of it jives well behind
the movie is definitely held up by the song selections. But I'm just saying the actual score, like, and again, it's so hard to beat those original two Raimi movies, guys. It's never going to happen. Like, we're never going to have Spider-Man movie. I've just accepted that as like a fact of life now. Like, we're never going to have another Spider-Man movie that gets me in the same way that those first two Raimi movies did. It's impossible. Well,
then again,
it's honestly as unlikely as like making a Star Wars movie now that's better than Empire Strikes Back. I mean, to me, it's in that same sort of pantheon.
Well, with the sequel for. Well, let's just say there's a lot promised with the sequel to Homecoming, and that could possibly measure up.
Okay, so let's get into something where, Monkey, I'm very curious to get your take on this.
Yes?
Something that's both a pro and a con for me. The world building of the MCU. Like, I thought this was a film, like, maybe more than any other film in the MCU, where it felt a lot like the comic book, right? Where it felt like there were, like Happy Hogan's got this side plot going on. It's moving day at Stark Tower. I'm not giving too much away by saying that.
I'm not sure I even knew Happy Hogan was a character.
Yeah, Happy Hogan. He was most prominent in Iron Man 2 and 3.
Well, he's been in all the Iron Man movies. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying like Iron Man 2 and 3. Like, he had a smaller role in one, but
But yeah, this movie could have been a bit stronger with its exposition. Like even like say, because I'm guessing this is not the same continuity as the Amazing Spider-Man films.
No,
because and I'm guessing they don't really go into any of Spider-Man's backstory in Civil War.
No, well, all we know is
vaguely touch on Uncle Ben in Civil War, like vaguely.
Well, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't say
like there was a.
They don't say it
like
Dragon. Huh? I'm sorry, Dragon.
They don't say it by name. They don't say Uncle Ben by name. All we know is he's been Spider-Man for 6 months, and he had the and we already know. We know he had like a suit before Tony Stark gave him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's there was a somewhere in the first half hour or so, there was some point early on where I was wondering, so does he actually have superpowers, or is it just all in the suit? And then
no, he has powers. Like he's actually sticking.
Oh yeah, and then they just kind of mentioned the spider bite in passing, but I know it's sort of the common knowledge of like say oh, Spider-Man was bitten by a special spider, so we got superpowers. But if we are world building, like for the first time we're really gonna have a character in this new universe, then it might be nice to establish that a bit more.
Yeah.
Like establish his world, like his place a bit more.
But Dragon, do you see what I'm saying though about the whole like how basically the Iron Man stuff that we do get in this movie, and again I'm trying to skirt around the spoilers, but it very much feels like, and Monkey, I see what you're saying. I totally see like how someone like Monkey, who's only really interested in the MCU films for the more unique movies they put out, like Guardians.
Like mainly Guardians.
For someone like Monkey, I could see like how having these side plots and side characters is going to be a distraction. For someone
it was more distracting here than in Ant-Man. Ant-Man handled it better.
Ant-Man handled it really well, I think. But for someone like me who obviously like I'm versed in the MCU, I've seen everything multiple times and everything, thanks mostly to this show and this dragon guy I got here, but anyways, and B, this is more importantly, like I grew up with the comics, right? Like I grew up reading like bounded, collected works of the old Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, like Ant-Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and all that good stuff. So, I don't know. Like I said, the way that the Tony Stark stuff works and Happy Hogan and all that, like that whole plot line, very much reminds me of how it was set up in the comic books, more so than I think any other MCU film up to this point. So I'm very mixed on that because as a comic book fan, I was happy to see that. However, the films are getting more and more and more away from being, like their own works, and they're getting closer to basically being one giant epic TV show. You know what I mean? And I'm very mixed on this.
And I think that is kind of a reason I have attached myself more to Guardians, is because that's more isolated. Like, the reason I would probably try and watch some of these in the next, like, catch up on the MCU is just to get more involved before Infinity Wars, which I would probably see
because you want to see the Guardians character. Yeah, right. Dragon, weigh in on this. How do you feel about the whole, like, the MCU tying together and, the side plots and all that?
Well, in terms of the side plot with with the side plot, do you specifically mean just the move itself, or do you mean like the reasons, like what the move's actually kind of setting up?
I mean, I don't want to talk about like the reasons. Well, I'm saying just the move itself. Like, meanwhile, Happy Hogan is preparing for moving day at Stark Tower.
The move itself doesn't bother because that does factor into the third act quite prominently.
It does. Yeah.
The whole film's in building to that moment. So that to me is not a side plot. That's the main plot.
A
film building to its third act. What a novel concept. Sorry. And
in terms of just like the tease and the framework, just the whole thing with the MCU, I can definitely see the benefit of just kind of these standalones, just kind of the points of genesis for the your first Iron Man, your first Captain America, and very much kind of I would argue, in the case of Spider-Man here, again, what things boil down to a lot is what kind of Spider-Man's always done. Again, I'm trying to screw around as best I can here. Is, it's this idea that Spider-Man, while Spider-Man's first issue is him interacting with the Fantastic Four. I mean, not his first appearance. First appearance, of course, is that's his origin. It's the origin, which again we've kind of had already with the other franchises. And then, the first real Marvel comic with Spider-Man, that's, him interacting with the greater Marvel universe, which would be the Fantastic Four, what's our equivalent to the
right.
Fantastic Four be kind of the mascot of the Avengers, being, well, not the mascot might be Hulk, but the Iron Man, kind of the poster boy of the Avengers.
Iron Man must have gotten into some serious trouble to do all those public service announcement videos. That's all I'm going to say.
Iron Man?
Oh, yeah, Captain America. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Those were wonderful.
Well, honestly, I still don't think it was.
Were.
I still don't. I know you have that theory about he was like making up for stuff, and there's a chance of that with
or maybe even making up for like the Battle of New York and the destruction that caused.
That's what I'm saying. There's a chance of that, but because he's because as we've seen, of course, in the spoilerific trailer, we have seen that he is indeed in the Avengers costume, which is one of my favorite costumes. I always say I love that costume. I wish he had kind of had the helmet he had Winter Soldier with that costume. The point is, it's like right after that, so it's probably just Cap's now back in the world. He's kind of doing like either PSAs, but could be motivated by that. So I don't know. It's like...
Okay. Let's see. What do you guys think of Ned? I really liked him in particular, but I've heard mixed responses to him from other people.
I enjoy Ned. I do think I think. Again, Ned has one of those jokes I don't like later on, but
there's also a certain montage with him that there's a certain oh god, I like that joke, but that's because it kind of appeals.
No, I don't think it's.
It appeals like I'm a South Park guy, so it appeals to my sense of humor.
Assuming I'm thinking the same joke. It was for me. It was kind of like, God, it's so stupid that it goes back around to being funny.
Right.
The crazy thing was like I just thought of that like response in my head before he said it. Like I thought of like, was he gonna say that? And then he says it.
Oh God.
For me, I can understand the mixed part. I'm kind of like very high. I'm like high mixed to positive, and a higher end of that. Okay, I guess. Like I just you had stuff that worked and some stuff that didn't.
I love the runner of the Lego Death Star because that's such a real world friendship thing to do. Like it brought me back to like late night Pokemon trading card game sessions with my friends and everything like that. Like just a hobby that would like take hours to do. I don't know. There's just something about the idea of Ned being like, hey, want to build the Lego Death Star together? Like, oh, that's really nice. Okay, let's talk about the
Death Star.
Let's talk about the action a little bit, guys. We have to wrap up pretty soon, but of course we'll be getting into a lot more detail with this on the spoiler cast. The action, I gotta say, man, to tell you the truth, it does have one very, very positive thing with the action for me, and that is that I think the scene with the Washington Monument is the best depiction of the wall crawling I've seen in a Spider-Man film.
Did that scene make you think Tower of Terror?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
/ Breakout.
Well, it made me think like if Paris wanted to theme their Tower of Terror to a Marvel property, because theirs is basically the same thing as California Adventure.
What, they just make it look like a Washington Monument?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that would probably be... That would be an interesting reskin of the building. Very fat Washington Monument.
No, but in all seriousness, like I said, I just think the wall crawling in particular, like I think the wall crawling is something that we could always see more of in the Spider-Man movies, and that scene in particular was done really well. Having said that, I will say I'm not a fan of the action in this movie, like in general. I think there's a lot of shaky cam. I think some of the lighting is off, especially like on the scenes in the in the beach and stuff and the forest. Like I don't think this film's action was shot very well at all, if I'm being honest. And that's something that I definitely think the Raimi movies have like way above this movie, even Spider-Man 3, to tell you the truth.
I guess I like
Spider-Man
the
3 did have really
scenarios
well
of
worded
the
action.
action.
It did have
scenes.
it did have good action, yeah. But
the scenarios were gripping enough for me. I guess that was it. But...
I mean, like I said, I think the Washington Monument was like the one example, and maybe that's specifically just a scene of Spider-Man saving people, which I know Dragon loves. But I think the fight sequences in general were not the best handled for me.
Something I liked with those sequences was they captured this great quality in the early Spider-Man comics where you call it the Ditko era because you kind of go by the artist of Spider-Man because Stanley was kind of with it for a long time in the beginning. It captures that Ditko era Spider-Man. It was like an early Spider-Man where he lost to quite a few battles in the beginning here. We see like an inexperienced Spider-Man in the action. So I kind of like that we kind of captured that.
I also like how we get to see a lot of property damage actually being addressed.
Mm-hmm. I love the sense of something I really want to hit upon, so I can get in there. Is that two things? I love the sense of consequence. There's this great scene with the deli, with kind of big a deli. I really just love. I won't get into it too much. I'm just saying.
Did the cat make you think of The Room, Tiki?
Can't say that it did.
Yeah, I mean, you got their pet on a counter, and the hero says hello to it.
Oh God.
Well, not to get too into it, but anyway, I kind of love the immediate sense of consequence, and with that, kind of get to my next point. Is that
it reminded me of the Chinese restaurant in Luke Cage, Dragon.
I can see that.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, what I really want to give with this, I love the bridge with that. I guess I love the theme of choice in this film, and I love how you can see it in a different way than we've really seen it before. Because we've had some decent visual shots of it in the Sam Raimi films, which is good. But I love when we kind of feel the, as Tiki and I've kind of joked, kind of the telltale vibe of like choice, and you get a lot of that in here, which is something you absolutely want with the Spider-Man character. Because he's a guy who has to make choices. It's like the old Stan Lee adage, like Spider-Man has to get across town to stop Doc Ock or the Green Goblin. He also has to get across town and give Aunt May some medicine. So
that's a classic Spider-Man issue.
And that's the thing. We have some great moments of choice. I love how they're naturally worked and we build upon these choices. I can't really get into them, but let's say I know we definitely have one in the third act. We have they're throughout, but they're in like just the right places where where Peter Parker has to make a choice, and it's like a important. It's a thing that shows you why he's the guy who should be Spider-Man. It shows you why he's doing the right thing when he's not doing these scenes that represent Spider-Man doing the right thing really do it for me. It's very befitting of Spider-Man seeing it kind of done the way they did it here. So it's one of the things that really jazzed in my mind about watching the movie.
Definitely. Yeah, let's see. I'm just trying to think of any other important. I think.
Well, I mean, we have a really cool and interesting villain in the Vulture, of course.
Yeah, I guess let's just talk about Michael Keaton really quick and then wrap it up with some final thoughts. Yeah, Michael Keaton easily up there with easily. I got to wrap this up soon, guys. Michael Keaton easily up there with the best of the MCU villains with, Tom Holland. I think he might be the best MCU villain. He's definitely one of the strongest things this film has going for it. I gotta say, up until that third act reveal, he was good, but not quite as interesting as I was hoping he would be. And then that third act
third act made him
added
a lot
to the interestingness. Yeah. I will say, just from a physically powerful point of view, they made the Vulture way more intimidating than I thought they ever could, just based on the ridiculous design from the comics. Do you guys remember when Ben Kingsley was rumored to be the Vulture for the longest time?
I remember. I saw the artwork on him.
How did the Spider-Man find itself all the way out here?
Oh, man.
Okay. So this Vulture, and I just picture Michael Keaton saying, "If you finally found your laughing place, how come you aren't laughing?"
But yeah, as I said, Michael Keaton, and I think it was very deliberate to save that, to kind of make him the muscle, not the muscle, but the scary, overpowered guy, and then in the third act be like, oh, okay, that adds a whole new dimension to him.
It's great that he was intimidating and he was smart at the same time. Yeah, it really comes into focus definitely in the third act.
All right, guys.
One thing I want to hit upon with just before we wrap up, real quick. I just want to hit this point is that I love how natural. This is like the great thing with Spider-Man in the MCU that we do. And we can finally do, and this is like people have waited many Spider-Man films for. We've only gotten this in the video games, and we finally have it on film. We naturally work in other villains and other characters, especially villains in like that MCU style, where it's like a little nod, and if you look into it, it's like, oh my god, that's who that character is. And it's like we've always been waiting for, like, how can we do multiple Spider-Man villains without, like, taking away screen time and making it forced? And we've had that problem with the other Spider-Man movies, and we finally did, in like a natural, like, a way we had multiple villains without, just they're there, and we don't have to go too into them, but they're there in the future to develop.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're right. We finally did that in an effective way, which is just in the MCU's wheelhouse. It was really kind of the benefit of doing this movie.
Okay. All right. So, guys, my final thoughts are like with this movie. As I said, it's kind of middle of the road MCU for me. I mean, I certainly don't think it's up there with the likes of something like Ant-Man or the Guardians movies or Civil War. I definitely think it's better than the likes of like Iron Man 2 or the Thor movies. So, it's kind of middle of the road for me. As a Spider-Man movie, though, like I said, nothing's going to touch the original 2 Raimi movies for me, but far and away above any, above Spider-Man 3 and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And as I said, I think over time I'm going to warm up to this movie more, because I think that second trailer really kind of dampened the experience of watching this. And I really, really just hope that Sony kind of learns a lesson from that, because, I could just feel like just the vibe and the energy just in the theater. Like, yeah, people were enjoying it, but everyone fucking knew it was going to happen. And it was just kind of a bummer. So, as I said, I definitely think this is going to be a movie that grows with me over time. Oh, and also one quick last point, non-spoiler point I want to hit on. Guardians Volume 2 had what I consider to be by far the most emotional ending of any MCU film. This has what I consider to be by far the funniest ending to an MCU film.
Hell yes. Like the comedic timing of the edit they do is perfect.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's great. It's great. All right, final thoughts on your guys' end?
It makes me... I love that somebody is credited as, Spider-Man guy. But yeah, so that was Spider-Man Homecoming.
All right.
Again, I was very pleased with the film. Again, I can't wait to see it a second time. I didn't really catch the action things. I'm more of a little razor eye on that. See how much water that insight holds. But on the whole, I mean, if I was looking just the whole, like, I guess boiling it down, it's that as much as I enjoyed this film, enjoyed this kind of Spider-Man in this film, it doesn't top Spider-Man 2, at least in this thing. And maybe a second watch, I don't know if that's going to change it, but Spider-Man 2, of course, is the highest bar, and I don't really feel the tone that I do in Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 2 has like you feel Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. In this, it captures what Spider-Man's about, so it's kind of a different thing. It's like feeling, just kind of feeling that everything you love about the guy in your heart versus like everything you see and you know about the guy. It's kind of heart versus head in that regard. And honestly, kind of with that too, is that in Amazing Spider-Man 2, the best thing I can say about that movie is, again, him in the suit, kind of saving people, interacting with people. I mean, while we did get this in this film, and I gotta see it on a second watch, like, I'm not really taking points off or anything. Is that I still don't get as jazzed in my mind as I did with those scenes in that movie. But then again, it's like that was kind of a great blend of that feeling Spider-Man quality here. And it's just I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one over again, see how much really connects with you on a rewatch. That's all I'm going to say, is that it's a good movie.
All right, folks. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and of course, we will be back very soon, sometime within the next week, to do a full-blown, 2-hour plus spoiler cast breaking down all the minutia of this movie. Monkey, thanks a lot for coming on. I know you've had a long day, so I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. And yeah, see you guys later. Hey, guys, ask me how my pie was.
How was your pie?
So good.